All right, we want to welcome you to the Sunday Huddle. My name is Jeff Neal. Man, we are so excited. We are here. The purpose of us being here is to encourage you. And today we're continuing our conversation on friendship. What do friends look like? And I'm joined by my good friends Nathan and Bryan. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
That was weak.
That's our dad obligation.
It is kind of a dad obligation. So if y'all don't know, we're going to start off with an age joke at the beginning of every podcast. And although your jokes are getting more lame as you've become a father and so forth, right?
I disagree.
Yeah.
They've been lame from the beginning?
I'm in my prime.
Are you in your prime? That's right, in that pink shirt. Mark, one more time. So, we talked a little bit about, what makes a good friend last time. And some of the qualities of a good friend is able to tell you the truth according to God's word. Again, that's not an opinion of, our preferences, but it's actually precepts that are grounded in God's word. And those are important. That should be the foundation of the counsel that we give to somebody when we give them advice, is that ultimately it's a good friend's going to give them advice based on God's word. Yeah. Thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we talk about that, of we want friends who are grounded in the word of God and our feedback and the way they approach us and all of those things, it's because we're so heavily influenced by our friends, so heavily influenced. I have, my wife makes fun of me. Messes with me. It's not.
She makes fun of him.
She bullies me. Yeah, she makes fun of
She
me.
is a bully.
And she, if I'm talking on the phone to someone, she has this game where she'll try and she can determine who I'm talking to by the way that I'm talking.
I love everything about that. Tell me more about this.
By the way that I'm talking.
Go ahead.
And so she knows which friends I'm talking to, because I just start to when I'm around them, I start to kind of be more like them, start to become more like them. And maybe it's the opposite too.
Right.
It's probably not. It's probably me becoming more like them.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder that we're so heavily influenced by our friends. And that's why, as we talk about, as we talked the last episode about how, what is it, how do we have friends and why are good friends important? Because of that, because we're so just wildly influenced.
So what a great
our
example.
friends.
So the phone call comes in, and based on your tone of your voice, the jokes that you're using or not using, as lame as they are, whatever you're doing, she's able to determine. And is she pretty accurate in her assessment if you're talking
100% spot on.
Yeah. So it's different if it's Jeff or Pastor Dave. Pastor Dave, it's a different conversation. She's able to tell. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For sure. No, I'm the same all the time. So.
Once again, where do liars go in your theology?
In mine? Heaven?
Not true. Yeah, so we look at some of the things. So we've talked about what makes a good friend, man. What is a bad friend? I was looking at Proverbs 22, 24 through 25 says this. Do not make friends with a hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered. Listen to this in verse 25. Or you may learn their ways and get yourself ensnared. Just as you said, that literally we begin to learn their ways, and a hot-tempered person, if we associate them, will become the exact same way.
Absolutely. You must have just looked at my notes as well. Thank you for that. But another one is in Proverbs 13:20, talking about when you're walking in the company of the wise versus the fools. And it's funny that you talk about that. Whenever I've used this lesson with some of my students as well, I like to talk about Rehoboam.
Okay.
It's just one of my favorite. For those who don't know, so there was King Saul, then there was King David, and then his son Solomon, the wisest ever, and then there was Rehoboam, his son. And so Solomon, wisest person ever. Rehoboam comes in. I'm paraphrasing this, obviously. This is
not King James?
This is not the message. Nothing against
It's closer
that.
to the message in King James.
It is a lot closer.
The way you're telling it. Yeah,
it is a lot closer. And so Rehoboam becomes king, and some of the servants come up to him, and they're like, hey, we've been working really hard. We've been serving your dad really well. Maybe lighten up just a little bit. Lighten up just a little bit.
So lighten up is the Hebrew or no?
I'm pretty sure it's
So he says lighten up.
So he says lighten up. And then Rehoboam's actually smart and says, give me 3 days. Let me think about this. So he goes to Solomon's advisors and he says, hey, you guys did some pretty good work with him. What do you guys think? And they're like, hey, of course, lighten up the load a little bit and they're going to be great. But Rehoboam, in all of his wisdom, then says, let me talk to my other buddies who are closer to my age. Asks them, and then they're like, no, crack that whip. Makes some other inappropriate references, and then says, I'll, instead of whips, whip them with scorpions, kind of thing like that. And so the people come back a couple days later, and Rehoboam basically sides with his young friends and literally splits the nation of Israel. And that's just one of those situations about when you're influenced by the wrong people, there are repercussions for it. Sometimes biblical proportion.
Yeah, I think there are. Why do we listen to? That's a deep thought. What a great passage too. That why do we listen to the wrong voices? Why do we listen to? It's a line from an assembly that you do. Often we make wrong choices because we listen to the wrong voices, and we make right choices because we listen to the right voices. And ultimately, the voices that we listen to, just as you said in our last episode, I say, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The 5 people that you hang around with are going to determine you positively or negatively. I think that. When we hang around violent people, I always think of this in football. That you got that teammate that's always going to get it in a fight. And every single time, and you have to go defend him. Like you're the one, you run over to him aside, and you're like, he's a jerk, but he's our jerk, right?
Also, a teammate headbutting you with no helmet on before the game.
That's a beautiful thing. I'll tell you, ironically, this is probably not appropriate for podcasts. I was talking to my oldest sister before I was coming up here tonight, and had talked to her. I got in a fight. I got in one fight in the NFL, and it was with actually a teammate in a practice. And I'm not going to say his name. It was a big defensive tackle, and he was infinitely more important than I was. And I got in a fight with him, and we had a big fight. It was his fault. But we had a fight, and my sister called me. She said, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe I have the grandchild in my class. She's a teacher of the person that you punched in the face." Isn't that great? That's a wonderful thing, right? So that was when that's when I didn't listen. It is a legacy in some way. So her granddaughter's going to fail kindergarten. But anyway, we think of these friends that we know when we get around them, we're going to get in trouble. I always when I speak in youth detention centers, I say this. That one place you go that you're always going to get in trouble, and you think to yourself, you almost get in trouble, you get back and you say, "Hey man, I'm never getting in the car with that dude again." Because every time I get in the car with that dude, something bad happens, right? And I tell them, if you don't know who that is, you're that dude. So, it's not any better. They're all thinking of you when I talk about this. But we think about those people that we hang around with, we're lifted up or we're brought down to the level of the people we hang around with.
And maybe this is a conversation for another day, this part too, but we oftentimes we know which friends fall into which category.
That's right.
A lot of times. And having good friends takes, as we've already kind of discussed, takes good discipline too on your end. So we have to catch ourselves. I know for me, I'm tempted, let's say I want to complain about something. Well, I know which friend to call and complain to. Because I know the one that's going to say, "Hey man, I think you're overreacting. That's not a big deal."
Right.
I'm not calling him because I want to be upset right now. So I'm gonna call the friend that's gonna just fan the flames a little bit. And go do with that. Now there could be much more that could have much more serious implications than when it comes to complaining. But we know those friends that this is the one that is gonna bring me closer to Jesus, and that knows the Word of God is going to push me towards that, and the ones that are gonna pull us away.
Yeah, because we want to have people affirm even our poor decisions because it helps us to justify our poor decisions. We were talking about this in just some of the planning for this podcast. And, I would never leave my wife. She's the best human I know. I love her dearly. But if I was contemplating leaving my wife, I'm not going to go talk to these two guys because I'm not going to hear that which is going to validate the decision I want to, because they're going to say, "No, you're an idiot, and she shouldn't have married you in the beginning with." But she did. She's made that poor mistake, so you got to stay with her. You got to stay with him, Cindy. But the thing is that ultimately we're going to get our opinion validated. In psychology, it's called cognitive dissonance, and it says if we have the choice to change our behavior or the way we think about our behavior, we'll normally change the way we think to accommodate our behavior. So what we'll do is we'll change the way we think, and the only way I can do that is to go to somebody who's going to corroborate and co-sign on my sin, co-sign on the bad things I want to do.
Right, bad company corrupts good morals.
And what a pithy kind of throwaway thing to say that.
Absolutely.
And it's factually,
so true.
It's so
real,
so grounded. And I found that, and when we talk about these people that bring us down and people that tell us the truth, I think of it and I was thinking it with my parents, if you're a parent, you shouldn't be friends with your kids. That's a bad strategy. You know what I mean? I feel so sad for the father and mother that says their teenage daughter or son is their best friend, and I'm thinking, man, you've got a terrible best friend. That's an awesome, moody, emotional best friend, right? But I thought of this in two things. I was just thinking about this afternoon. My dad was the guy who was going to tell me the truth. He was going to, I was going to know the truth, and he was going to tell me the truth all the time, whether I wanted to hear it or not. Hey, I knew, Monday Night Football got a holding penalty. And I told you you're going to get a holding penalty because you got your hands outside. That's what Dad did. Mom was wonderful and loved me, but she just loved me just because. I got a holding penalty against the New Orleans Saints, and they don't ever call out the number of a lineman, right? And they called out, number 60, and she stood up and said, "Yay, number 60." You know what I mean? She applauds my poor play, and that's wonderful in a mother, but it's terrible in a friend.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't want that in a friend. You want someone who's going to tell you the truth, not affirm your poor decisions.
Right. So what do we do when we find ourselves more so in the company of less than desirable acquaintances?
Yeah, man. What do you do when I know that working with youth all the time, Nathan, you have to have parents that say, all right, my kid is hanging out with this other kid that's an idiot kid.
Leave Hunter out of this.
They have two boys about the same age, and they're both amazing, and their wives are amazing people too. But go ahead.
Mine is definitely the negative influence.
I agree.
Come on, man.
You're supposed to don't throw me under the boat.
I mean, what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I run into that all the time, talking with parents. And on occasion, students will recognize that too, of like, hey, I think that my friends are not a good influence on me, and start asking a couple questions. And I affirm quickly, hey, your friends are not a good influence on you.
Yeah. And do they know that? Do they self-intuitively, you think, know that anyway already when they ask you the question?
Oh, yeah.
Is it a bad friend? They know.
Yeah, they know. And even the ones that are not asking, they know. Especially those that truly they love the Lord and they have a relationship with Jesus. They would say, hey, the Bible, that's the best way for me to live. When they're not doing that, they know. There's a conviction there, even if they don't really fully recognize it. As you start to ask them questions, they reveal that they know. But one of the things that I always talk with them about in that is it's important that we have friends, obviously, that do not know Jesus, that are not followers, and biblically, we should be ministering to and sharing Jesus with them, with our words, but also with just the way we love them and care for them and let them see a picture of what Jesus looks like. But also, when it comes to the most important, close people in your life, really your true, inner circle, the ones that you are going to go to obviously you say it in joke, but there are lots of people who are going through issues with spouses and in marriage and stuff. And the ones that you are going to go to in that time, we need to surround ourselves, our inner circle, with people who are following Jesus. Because the way that they look at the world is going to be through the lens of the Word, through the lens of the Bible. And if we're seeking advice from them, then, hopefully, if it's working properly, then it's going to be on that. It's going to come through that. Whereas if it is our close friend is not a follower of Jesus, I'm not even saying it's because they're a bad person. We're all bad people.
That's right.
But I'm not even going to say it's because they're some horrible person or they want bad for you. But the way that they see the world and the lens that they look through is different than yours.
That's right.
So their advice is going to be different than what you are wanting if you're wanting to live under the Word of God. So you can still have those friends, but we need to have those core people that are close to us, that are speaking to us, our friends that follow Jesus.
Yeah, but we do, like you said, we do have friends that are in the world, and to be able to influence those people. But we're not going to take advice from them. We're not going to take advice on how to live our lives from those unbelievers.
Yeah, no, I agree, but that still doesn't answer the question. So how do you get rid of the bad acquaintances?
Yeah, that is a tough thing. I think that ultimately there's a point where we separate. I've told this before, and you don't think I do, but I promise you I do. I go to prisons and I'll tell them, man.
I bet he's been to prison.
To minister the gospel. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I grew up with my dad was a cop. I didn't get a ticket. I promise you, I was terrified of my dad and all of his friends. But ultimately I say, hey man, if you're going to change your life, you got to change your playmates, your play place, and your playthings. The people that you hang around with, the places you go, and the things you touch. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, so this is pretty awesome. So my dad said I never had a real job in my whole life, and he's probably right. So all through college and high school, I was a lifeguard at a city pool, glamorous job at a city pool, So I'm at the city pool, and I work at the city pool, and ultimately I learned how to be a lifeguard, right? Well, they do teach you that when you go to save someone, we want to reach, row, or throw. We want to throw something if we can, but if we have to go in the water, that if they're thrashing around, you don't go in to save them. And the reason you don't go in to save them is because they'll bring you down too. And ultimately, two people are going to die. And so what you do is you wade out there and you literally tread water if you have to for however long you need to until they get tired enough that you can bring them back and save them. And I think sometimes that's what our friends are like. Sometimes there's people, we got to sever a relationship with us. because it's not good for us. And we can love them and pray for them for a distance. But I think we have to sever that relationship because them taking us down doesn't help us or them. And guess what? To pull that metaphor all the way through, ultimately one day they're going to get tired. Because man, apart from Christ, with Christ, life is tough. There are tough things that we go through, right? But ultimately they're going to get tired enough. The world's going to beat them up enough that we're going to be able to come in there and rescue and share the greatest news it is. And your thoughts on getting rid of a bad friend?
Yeah, I know Bryan kind of threw me under the bus for not answering the question.
Happy to help. I'm a good friend.
Appreciate it. I'm also proud of you for not taking the bait when Jeff said that he was a glamorous lifeguard.
Oh, I was going to, yeah.
We're going to do a Baywatch song you're going to sing? That's good. Go ahead, though. Yes.
No, so my advice, I mean, you kind of hit it too, in that of when you think about, again, that inner circle of, so if you examine your inner circle and, well, the people that are in that of like the really closest ones are the friends that are the ones that need to go away, that are not like a positive example, well, then they need to be removed from that. And maybe that does mean, like, so you ask, when I talk with parents and stuff, whenever parents ask through this, a lot of times if there's the follow-up question of, where like how much time are they being allowed to spend with them? So as the parent, or just as the student, if you wanted to make a change, well, if the answer is a lot, well, then that has to change, right? You have to, like you said, sever. And it sounds so mean. So whenever, like with teenagers, when you're walking them through that, like that just sounds horrible to them. Like, what do you mean? If I cut off my friend, they're going to think like Christians are mean and bad now. So, usually the advice is not cut them off entirely, like stop responding to everything, but maybe it is like you don't go hang out with them every weekend because you get into trouble when you do that.
Right.
And maybe, I mean, there could come a time where like you do need a time of complete separation from that because like, man, you are allowing yourself to be so heavily influenced by someone who is pulling you in the wrong direction. And if it is pulling you away from Jesus, then you need to, man, cut that off, examine your own heart and life, begin to start pursuing Jesus. And then certainly we want to share the gospel, minister to those people, but not bring them in at the expense of they're pulling you away from God.
You know what? I've examined my life sometimes, though, when I've heard people that I've been around that I had just starting a relationship with, getting to know, and casual relationship, that they acted a certain way that was ungodly or they used language that was wrong. And I thought, have I not lived my life in such a way that they should be uncomfortable doing that around me? Does that kind of make sense? If you're that comfortable using that kind of language in front of me, that maybe says something about me. And we shouldn't make people, I mean, I've done it before. I mean, I've done where I've made people feel uncomfortable with my walk with Christ. I know that. I mean, just sharing the gospel is going to be offensive, right? It's going to share the gospel. I shared the story one time. I had a true story. I had my wife and we went out to eat with some friends in Houston, and I didn't know any of them. They were friends of my wife and sister and all them. And they were friends there. And we went out to this really wonderful restaurant. And I don't open up with I'm a minister.
Good.
That's true. When they see, oh, and you have gluttony, you eat so much, right? So it seems like you shouldn't be a minister at all, right? But we go, and I don't share that I'm a minister or anything like this. And it's a group. It's this very nice restaurant. And there's 10 or 12 people. It's a true story. It's 10 or 12 people here, and it's a very expensive meal. And the guys are all really like type A, high achievers. They're all excelling. They're winning in life, And so the first half of the dinner is just filled with, man, I did this and I've done this, and all their cars and their things that they've conquered, and language is not wonderful, right? And it's just really kind of some coarse conversation, And so it finally get around, they stopped talking about themselves for 45 minutes, and they said, hey, what do you do for a living? And I don't do it very often, but I said, hey, I'm a preacher. And it was like, that beautiful moment, like forks hit the plate and there's this pause and they're like, oh my gosh. And they're reevaluating everything in their mind that they've said for the last 30 minutes. What have I said? And what have I said about God? And how have I used Jesus' name? And I enjoyed it. I got to be honest. I enjoyed this discomfort. And then I promise you, after this lengthy pause, one young lady spoke up, and just because she didn't have anything else to say. And she said, I used to listen to Amy Grant when I was in high school. And I thought, so this was her point of connection. You with me? She was trying to reach for anything she could to connect. So part of me, that's awesome, isn't it? Right?
Not even I like Amy Grant, but
no. And I thought I was going to have to explain to y'all who Amy Grant was, but she was a Christian artist years ago. But here's the thing, that it was kind of interesting to me because it made me think about like people that you hang around with, and if they're comfortable being this way and acting this way, it's maybe because I haven't taken a stand to where they feel they can be comfortable in the way that they act.
Right, but there's also a fine line you have to go there too, because lost people are going to act like lost people,
Absolutely.
and so trying to make sure that you don't want to be that, oh, well, you're a sinner,
Yeah.
every time. And I think the way that, using your story that allegedly is true,
Don't ever let the truth stand in the way of a good story. I said.
exactly.
Yeah,
You didn't say, and I'm
No,
a pastor,
yeah.
and all the things
Yeah.
you just said are
Yeah.
offensive and everything.
Right.
You just kind of let your words do the talking, if you will, and specifically the righteousness of God, which sin separates us from in general. Like, we feel shame as in a Genesis 3 type of world, and so it's kind of funny that you just
Right.
say that, and then they're like, the natural ramification is, oh, I love that.
It should be, right? That we should, when we recognize our sinfulness in the sight of a holy God, and we are sinful, man, right? Like I said, we're believers. All three of us know Christ as Lord and Savior, and we're nevertheless still sinners, and we fall short. And we fully recognize that. We're not better than anybody, for sure. Practically, I'm the biggest mess up that you know, but positionally, I've been declared perfect because Christ lives in me. But because he lives in me, he's compelled me to be a certain type of friend to other people. He determines and he changes and he molds my behavior. But not because I need to gain the love of God, but in response to the love of God.
Yeah, you say that's their response when you tell them that you're a preacher.
Yeah.
That's better than when I say I'm a youth pastor.
Yeah.
I usually get with the, oh, we're gonna be a real pastor one day.
Oh, that's going to be another podcast episode because that's brilliant. Yeah. So when you grow up, are you going to be a real pastor?
When you grow up.
No, really, I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I think of, when I think about about friends and being friends who are like helping get your other friends in front of Jesus. I always kind of go back to the Mark chapter 2, the paralyzed man, who his friends, like, he needs Jesus, obviously.
Yeah.
Needs the healing that comes from Jesus, and they bring their friend. And the house is too crowded. They can't get to Jesus, so they make a hole in the roof, property damage, lower him down, and put their friend in front of Jesus, who then experiences like the healing that he so like desperately needs. So as I think about like that, that's, first of all, that's a good friend. Those are good friends.
You should write a book about that.
That carry you.
Should write a book about that. Yeah.
You did write a book about that.
I did.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, never mind. You take it away.
No, brilliant. Please go with that. That's a wonderful passage.
So being friends that get our friends in front of Jesus. So if it is in the crowd of the people who, when they find out you're a pastor, it's like, oh my gosh, kind of step back, or the friends that we have not like cut off, but are not followers of Jesus. We want to be a friend that is helping them get in front of Jesus, experiencing Jesus. And then also the friends that are followers of Jesus already. I want to be a friend that is helping you even deeper see the love of Jesus, and I hope that you're being a friend too that is helping me see Jesus through that.
Yeah, and they saw their powerlessness there. They knew that they couldn't make their friend better.
Yep.
So they said that their goal was, it says they had faith. If we just get him close enough to Jesus, he'll get healed.
Mm-hmm.
And so similarly, we're supposed to hold the rope and get others close to Jesus. I did write a book on that. Bryan joked. I'll tell you the greatest best friend line ever from my wife, who's my best friend. I wrote a book called Hold the Rope, which is a challenge to evangelism based on Mark chapter 2. And it's about these men who lower this paralytic. And I did about a year-long thing where I was promoting the book and going to churches and promoting this book, Hold the Rope, and to try to sell the book and to advocate what it was indeed to be a good friend and to hold the rope and get others close to Christ. And my wife traveled with me that year every single time. And after a year of listening to me preach the Hold the Rope sermon, and if the year was over, she said, "It's time to cut the ropes." And that's a good friend right there, right?
Cindy's the best.
She is the best. There's no doubt she made a poor decision marrying me. But you think about that's a good friend, right? Hey, man, stop sharing that message.
And that's when you got the haircut?
I did get a haircut. I did get the haircut, yeah. So and this is one more thing. I was thinking of friendship. What a beautiful picture. You're right. I hadn't even thought of that on Mark chapter 2, seriously, about what a good friend is. And it says, because a good friend won't leave you. Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for times of adversity. Bad friends leave you when times are tough." Man, you want to know who your friends are? Man, it's not going to be at the pinnacle of success. Right. I'll show you some bad friends when you go through tough times, and they just have to sit with you and to be there, and they're gone. They're due. I think of so many people who go through tragedies and people who lost spouses that I've been there, and there's really nothing to say, but just to be there, and good friends do that, right? And the bad friends, it says in Proverbs 17 that are good friends, they're born for a time of adversity. Wow, that'll really show. And it's so similar to our walk with Christ. You want to know where someone is in their walk with Christ, watch them suffer and to suffer well. What other thoughts you got for us?
Cowboys are all in this season.
This is their year. And I'll tell you as a rejection of that, Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise. You're not wise about your assessment of the Cowboys. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Wow, that we literally, through the people that we hang around with, will be brought down or will be lifted up. And, and again, they sound so like much a cliche and throwaway statements, and again, a school assembly motivational speak. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. The people you hang around with are going to impact your decisions. The voices that you listen to will impact the choices that you make. And you do these lines over and over and over, and you can just kind of see the kids. They're just kind of eyes glaze over. But I want to tell them, man, it's actually true at my age. It's true at my age that I want to hang around people that are better than me.
Right. Oh, it's so important because you have to be intentional with the people that you let in your circle, and then specifically again, like what you do with those friends.
Right.
Because especially at your age, like time is running out, and so
with
the earthly time that we still have left, I mean, ultimately the cry of our heart is to know Him and to make Him known. And so anything that's kind of distracting us from that or not edifying us to be able to do that is taking away from our ability to further the kingdom. And that's again what this thing we call life is about.
Amen.
Yeah, I think as we kind of with all the things we've talked about this episode and the last with friendship, something that I feel like is so important in my life, a reminder for me, is just prioritizing that, of just recognizing, obviously it's important. Obviously there are so many levels and layers and reasons we need that through hard times to be pushed closer towards Jesus, to be able to be a witness to people for Jesus. So it's prioritizing that, is recognizing that, hey, God has designed it to where the most fulfilling and abundant life you can possibly live is lived in Him, is found in Christ. And part of the way He says we do that is together, is with those, with friends. We see that in all the ones that we've looked at already in Proverbs, in Acts chapter 2, we see that modeled them. We see all over the place that part of that, of finding abundant life in Christ, is not solo, is doing it with closeness with others around us.
What a great way to finish this episode and think about that episode, because that's what's needed. Communities, the New Testament model is God works through the local church. Yep. We're supposed to be in community with other believers. And it's amazing to me how we prioritize things that just don't matter. We prioritize these things that just are going to go away. I had a dear friend, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, in another episode, a dear friend who's deconstructed from the faith and left the faith. And it's because he lived a life of isolation. He lived a life where he's online all day long, and he got internet truth and questions that he couldn't get answered, and he lived it in isolation. And I'm going to tell you this, bad things happen in isolation. When we're not around other people to tell us truth, to have real friends, to guide us to the truth and to point us to the truth of God's word, man, bad things happen. Our greatest desire for you is that you have the best friend you can possibly have, which is a relationship with Jesus Christ and knowing Him in that way. And then I promise you, God will surround you with those people that'll encourage you to walk with Christ. Man, we're so grateful that you joined us again today. This Friends episode. Again, thankful to Sports World and all that they do to support this podcast. Additionally, again, we're sponsored by Brotherwood Coffee, an awesome company. You can click a link in the bio, and all the proceeds there go to Sports World to help support Sports World, and also for Brotherwood Coffee, which is helping to do some suicide prevention assemblies and things all over the nation. It's a wonderful organization. So we'd love for you to help us or support us in that way. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. God bless.
Peace.